Are you thinking about manufacturing a new idea? Maybe you're an entrepreneur or a business founder, you've got a great new product and you need to put it into production. Well, there's a lot to think about, and this video is a fantastic introduction to help you get in the right mindset and understand what's going to be required. So do keep watching, and if you find it helpful, make sure you hit like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Manufacturing a product is a really complex process, and it varies a lot depending on the type of product, the volumes you're going to manufacture, and where you're manufacturing as well. We're just going to talk about it very briefly in this video to give you an overview. So once you have your design finalized, you probably have prototyped that maybe 3 or 4 times even until you've got the design to a point where you're really happy with it. Then you can look to source a manufacturer. Sometimes the manufacturer has been involved earlier than this, and that is advisable because it makes your route into production simpler. But if not, then definitely now is the time to start sending that specification out to potential factories and getting quotes. It's worth saying that you want to get confidentiality agreements signed with those manufacturers. We would advise our clients, certainly if they're manufacturing in the Far East, to get their IP protection sorted out in terms of patents or registered designs, trademarks even, before they are approaching manufacturers with the product. It's too easy often for maybe not the manufacturer to copy the product, but actually to find that they've left the specification out and then an auditor has come around the factory and seen it and has gone and told one of their other factories about the idea or anything else. You don't know who's in and out of those manufacturers. You don't know how good they're going to be in terms of keeping your information confidential. You don't know what issues they've had with their staff recently or people leaving or anything else. So I would definitely say that having a conversation with a chartered patent attorney, getting your intellectual property sorted out before approaching manufacturers is critical. It's worth saying you may actually talk to manufacturers about further iterations. They may suggest new features or anything else, and it is best therefore to have not only your IP protection in place but a confidentiality agreement in place with that manufacturer as well. So if you do end up talking about future developments that aren't covered under your current intellectual property protection, then they're covered under your confidentiality agreement with that manufacturer. Now, don't just assess your potential manufacturing partner on cost. Communication is critical. Timescales to launch are critical. And then there's a whole lot of other stuff that you need to look at as well in terms of making sure that's the right manufacturing partner for you. One of the main other things you're going to have to look at is what MOQ they're prepared to do. So that's minimum order quantity. Now, if their minimum order quantity is 100,000 units and each of your products is £10, then there's £1 million order there minimum, which obviously is a huge risk. Conversely, if there's another factory and their minimum order quantity is 1,000, but their unit cost is £15, then all of a sudden your MOQ value is £15,000, which is a much lower risk. So often what we find when we're assessing different manufacturing options is that minimum order quantity, tooling or production setup cost, and then the ongoing unit cost are 3 key factors. But as I say, how you get on with the factory, how they communicate with you is critical as well. It's worth saying if you're looking for a manufacturer in the Far East, you might want to get an independent audit done. We have been shocked by what we've seen in audits and inspections previously. Things like staff toilets with no doors on them and that type of thing. So you really ought to, in my opinion, unless you're using a factory that's recommended or unless you can go out and see the factory yourself, definitely do get an independent inspection or audit done. Good contacts who can do that for you. Please do get in touch if you need them. Manufacturing in Europe or in the UK is obviously in a lot of ways preferable. It's cheaper to go and see them. It's a lot easier to go and sort out any problems. If it's UK, then you have less issues in terms of cultural barriers, less issues with language and that type of thing as well. But what I would say, unfortunately, is that over the last 20 to 30 years, obviously a lot of the manufacturing has moved eastwards, and a lot of the suppliers, therefore, actually no longer exist in this country either. And we're not looking at a situation in most cases where it's going to cost twice as much to manufacture in the UK. We've had quotes come back in the UK which are 10 times as much as it is to manufacture the product in the Far East. And unfortunately, it is the scenario that as manufacturing has moved east, a lot of the, as I say, supply chain, audit, component manufacture, all that kind of stuff is now based over there as well. And sometimes it's almost impossible to manufacture products anywhere other than the Far East. If your product is low value, then it's going to be particularly difficult to make it in this country. If you're working on something that is particularly high value, maybe it's a medical product or something for aerospace or F1 racing, that type of thing, military, well, there is more opportunity within the UK to manufacture that type of product. So the best thing to do really here is to approach a lot of different manufacturers with your specification, to get a range of different quotes back, ask to talk to various different references who've worked with those manufacturers before so that you can gain something from their experience and whether they'd recommend them or not. And really what you're then looking to do is assess each of the manufacturers before taking a decision. But if you can visit a manufacturer before placing your order, I would highly recommend it. There is nothing like sitting in front of the person, seeing the whites of their eyes, asking some difficult questions, seeing their reactions, and just starting to get a feel for whether actually you want to be working with this person, this factory owner, in the longer term. It is going to be a long-term relationship, hopefully. Hopefully your product is going to blow up and you're going to be making hundreds of thousands of units of them, but you're probably not doing this for the next 6 months. You're probably thinking more 6 to 10 years at least of manufacturing this product, and in which case choosing your manufacturing partner as someone you get on with, as well as who delivers the right quality and the right price, is clearly critical.